Welcome to the Thornton Manifesto. I am Marcus Thornton. Today I'm going to be doing a reading of my newest essay, Cost of Captivity. Wisdom is earned outside the cage. Part 1. The lion we forgot we are. Somewhere along the line, we forgot we were supposed to be lions. Not the caged kind people point at through glass, not the sedated, well-fed mascots of a comfortable society. I mean the real things, the creature built for the world before carpets and climate control. The thing with teeth, instinct, presence, and purpose. The thing that doesn't ask for permission to exist. Every one of us is born with that in us. A wildness, a ferocity, a sense of direction that doesn't come from a syllabus or a self-help guru. But culture has done a great job convincing us otherwise. From the time we're young, we're taught how to play nice, how to stay quiet, how to follow the program. Sit down, stay still, don't cause trouble. Don't stray from the path. It doesn't take long before the lion is housebroken. We grow up and wonder why life feels hollow, why we feel restless, why something in our chest keeps pacing back and forth, looking for a door that isn't there. Most men don't even realize they're in a zoo. They just assume the cage is their entire world. They think comfort is the goal and softness is peace. They think checking all the boxes is the same thing as being alive. And they brag about their good behavior, their clean record, their obedience to a life designed to never challenge them too deeply. A lion raised in captivity can have a perfect record too. Never fought for anything, never risked anything, never hunted, never bled, never lived. But that isn't virtue. It's captivity dressed up as success. Humans aren't meant to pace in circles waiting to be fed. We're meant to face resistance. We're meant to be shaped by the tension of the world, not the padding of it. And any philosophy, any belief system, any so-called wisdom that only works in a cage is nothing but decor. Deep down, we all know this. There's a part of us that aches for the wild. A part that remembers something older and stronger than our curated routines. A part that wants to break the latch on the gate and see what happens when we meet the world on its terms instead of ours. The lion is still there. He always has been. He's just been trained out of trusting himself. Part 2. Philosophy in a cage. Philosophy is cheap in captivity. Anyone can sound wise when nothing is threatening them. Anyone can talk discipline when their life is padded on all sides. You can quote Marcus Aurelius all day from a couch. You can talk about controlling what you can control when there's nothing in your environment trying to break you. That's the zoo. Clean cages, predictable feeding times, no predators, no hunger, no risk, no real test. A lion in a zoo can roar all he wants. It doesn't mean shit, because his life never requires him to live what that roar is supposed to represent. It's the same with us. You can build a perfect philosophy in a bubble. You can craft a spotless belief system if you never have to apply it in the wild. You can have a clean record of success if you've never actually been in danger of failing. You can design your worldview to look flawless if the only battles you fight are theoretical. But philosophy that only works when life is gentle isn't philosophy. It's decoration. It's cosplay. It's wisdom dressed in costume because it's never been asked to bleed. The problem with the zoo is that it tricks you into thinking you're strong because you haven't been tested. It convinces you that peace is the same thing as sedation. It rewards you for avoiding anything that might expose how untested your principles really are. And culture loves that version of you. The tame version, the agreeable version, the predictable, domesticated, spiritually neutered version. The version that quotes ideas he's never had to depend on. The wild is a different world entirely. It doesn't care about your bookshelf or your favorite podcast. The wild wants to know if your philosophy can hold when you're afraid, tired, heartbroken, broke, lost, sick, ashamed, grieving, or standing in front of a mistake that could have ruined everything. Anyone can be a philosopher in a cage. It's when the bars vanish that the truth shows up. Part 3. The Call of the Wild. The wild doesn't send you an invitation. It just shows up one day and tears the fence down. For most people, that moment comes disguised as hardship. Divorce, addiction, losing a job, a medical scare, a death that guts you. Waking up in a situation you swore you'd never end up in. A life you no longer recognize. For me, the wild has taken many forms over the years. War, homelessness, addiction, wreckage I created and wreckage I inherited. But guess what? The wild doesn't give a shit about your resume. It doesn't care how many books you've read or how clever your ideas sound when life is going well. The wild is where philosophy stops being decorative and starts being necessary. This is where your principles get teeth. This is where your beliefs get bloodied. This is where you find out if all your talk about discipline, faith, resilience, and character was real, or if it was just something you posted to look like a person who has their shit together. A lion raised in a zoo doesn't understand hunger. A lion raised in the wild is shaped by it. That's the difference. When life is padded and predictable, you never have to ask yourself who you are. You just go through the motions. But when the ground breaks beneath you, when you lose something, when you're alone, when you're terrified, when you fuck up your life so badly you don't recognize the man in the mirror, the wild is right there, asking its only question. What do you really believe? Not what you say you believe, not what you hope you believe, what you actually believe when your comfort is gone and your excuses die in your throat. The wild is honest. It's brutal, but honest. It doesn't negotiate with fantasies or self-perception. It shows you the exact distance between the man you imagine yourself to be and the man you are. You don't become strong by avoiding the wild. You become strong by surviving it. You become strong by being brought to your knees and deciding to stand up anyway. You become strong by seeing the gaps in your character and choosing to fill them instead of hide from them. You become strong by being confronted with your own bullshit and refusing to run. The wild doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be real. And once you taste that level of honesty, the zoo becomes unbearable. Part 4. Philosophy that bleeds. Philosophy only becomes real when it bleeds with you. It's easy to talk about discipline when you're well rested. It's easy to talk about resilience when there's nothing at stake. It's easy to talk about faith when the lights are on and the pantry's full. It's easy to preach principles when your life is padded by comfort, approval, and second chances. But the moment life gets sharp, theory evaporates, comfort evaporates, self-image evaporates. All that's left is the truth. In the wild, philosophy is not an intellectual exercise. It's a weapon, a shield, a compass, a way of keeping your soul intact when everything else is falling apart. When you're staring down addiction, you don't need clever quotes. You need truth you can hold on to like a rope when the darkness is pulling. When you're sleeping in your car, you don't need abstract stoicism. You need a reason to wake up and keep trying when your dignity is hanging by a thread. When you're in a war zone at 18, you don't need academic ethics. You need something that keeps you human when the world stops making sense. When the divorce papers hit your kitchen table, you don't need inspirational bullshit. You need a principle strong enough to rebuild your life around. This is philosophy in the wild. Philosophy with dirt under its nails. Philosophy with scars. If your philosophy collapses the moment life gets hard, it was never philosophy. It was a mood. Real philosophy is pressure tested. It's shaped in suffering, clarified in chaos, and proven in the exact moments you'd rather turn away. It doesn't make your life easier. It makes your life sturdier. It makes you honest. It makes you dangerous in the right kind of way. It's not impressive, not glamorous. It's not Instagram friendly. It's just real. Most people want ideas they can talk about. The wild demands ideas you can live through. The zoo rewards good behavior. The wild rewards truth. Truth is the only thing strong enough to survive impact. Part 5. Escaping the zoo. At some point, every man realizes the zoo isn't protection, it's captivity dressed up as comfort. The schedule, the predictability, the padded walls, the endless streaming options, the dopamine hit economy, the culturally approved version of success, all of it works together to keep you tame, domesticated, contained, spiritually housebroken. Most people never question it. Why would they? The cage is warm, the food shows up, the danger is low. You don't have to hunt for anything except a slightly better version of the same predictable day. But for some men, those who've tasted even a moment of the wild, the cage eventually becomes unbearable. Once you've felt what it's like to fight for your life, to rebuild from nothing, to wake up a stranger in your own skin, to stare your demons in the eye and realize they know your name, the zoo can't hold you anymore. It's too small, too padded, too artificial. The wild may be brutal, but at least it's honest. Escaping the zoo doesn't always look dramatic. It doesn't mean abandoning your life and running into the woods. It means refusing to let comfort define you. It means choosing responsibility over sedation. It means letting life be unpredictable, letting yourself be unguarded, letting your principles be tested instead of rehearsed. It means you stop tending the cage and start remembering the wild. When you escape the zoo, not much outside you changes. It's the inside that dramatically shifts. You stop wanting the padded version of yourself. You stop believing safety is the goal. You stop avoiding the parts of life that wake your instincts up. You start moving differently. You start speaking differently. You start feeling the ground again. You become accountable to a deeper kind of truth that doesn't care about your excuses or your curated identity. You become a little more dangerous in the way a man is dangerous when he knows who he is and what he'll stand for. You become the type of person who would rather face the risks of the wild than die slowly inside a golden cage. The wild may violently destroy you, but the zoo will kill you quietly. Part 6. The lion who walks free. A lion that learns to walk free doesn't roar louder or more frequently. He doesn't need to prove anything. That's what happens when a man remembers who he is. He stops performing strength and starts carrying it. He stops chasing philosophies that sound good and starts living the ones that hold up under pressure. He stops trying to impress the world and starts trying to respect himself. That shift is frighteningly quiet because it comes from the inside out. The wild teaches you that real power isn't noise, it's presence, it's clarity. It's knowing exactly who you are when life strips away every excuse and every illusion you've built to protect yourself from the truth. Once you've been tested, once you've stood in the fire and seen what survives, you move differently. You You don't cling to comfort the way you used to. You don't need to be coddled by your routines. You don't fear the unpredictable world outside the cage because you've seen what your soul can absorb without breaking. You begin to understand that the lion inside you was never meant to be domesticated. It was meant to be disciplined, aligned, directed toward things worth fighting for: your family, your values, your purpose, your God, your future. You don't need the wild to be extreme. You just need it to be real. Most people live their whole lives as zoo animals, fed, sheltered, comfortable, and completely unaware of the creature they were designed to become. But some men wake up. Some men break the latch. Some men remember the world is larger than the cage and more honest than the comfort they've been worshiping. Those men walk differently. They stand differently. They breathe differently. They no longer fear the world that forged them. Philosophy was never meant for the zoo. Philosophy is for the lion who walks free, the man who remembers finally what he is.